Chapter 1: Carbon and Blue Sky and Home. A man fits shiny steel into a slot with a sharp click. He fumbles and finds the loose end of the belt and pulls, tightening it around his waist. He relaxes against the armrests and pushes his feet forward, stretching and pressing his sore body into the seat back. He settles into the void, into the nothing he needs to do for the next 2 hours. He squeezes his hands into fists and opens them. He scans a cut, a scrape over there, and a small puncture from a thorn on his thumb. But his mind is somewhere else. Before long, twin GE engines crank and begin throwing 14,000 pounds of thrust. He turns his head to the brightness of the window. Runway slips past. As the plane lifts into the air, the man straightens. His eyes survey the seats in front of him, the bulkhead, the overhead bins, the seatbelt signs. But his conscious mind registers none of it. He closes his eyes and feels the increased G-force in his chest. Way more dramatic, though, is the increased gratitude in his heart. I'm a son. A close friend sits beside, another across the aisle, but he holds on to his words. It isn't a moment for conversation. He just rests in fullness, the fullness of a trip home, the kind one experiences returning from a sacred journey, from a place not marked on any map. Opening his eyes after a few moments, he looks again out the window. He watches rural Montana blur as it gets farther and farther away. The world seems different somehow, bigger, more wonder and opportunity, but safer too. Is this how things were supposed to be all along? With his gaze still on the land below, the man's attention drifts inward, backward. His mind settles on a few specific moments, a few precious moments, only hours ago on the north face of a low mountain, a volcanic peak among several rising together, the tallest reaching about 3,000 feet, a cluster of small islands floating in a great prairie sea. He summons the smells, the sounds, his view from where he'd taken cover in front of a scrubby tree. He sees the view north across the border into Canada, west across the land of the ancient Blackfoot, to the ragged, mystical peaks of Glacier National Park. The airplane bumps and climbs, but he enjoys a moment of stillness, soaking in love and recalling his experience, hunting for mule deer in the presence of God. He and his friends covered a lot of miles on this trip, carbon bows in hand. But there were long hours of silence, too, and prayer. And this man isn't much used to that. His friend, though, the one seated next to him, had challenged him to embrace the solitude, to make use of it. He stifles a chuckle as he thinks about their conversation a couple weeks back, about the solitude this kind of adventure offers. It had started with the recollection of words from an old hunter long gone. The best camouflage pattern is called sit down and be quiet. His friend had surprised him then by saying that he takes advantage of his sit down and be quiet time by praying, hour after hour. It sounded daunting, but it piqued something too. Because God had been awakening something in the man's heart of late, he recognized it for what it was, an invitation. Into what, he didn't know. But he accepted it and spent the better part of a week hiking, running, crouching, crawling, and talking to his Father God. They'd hunted in the mornings, starting out before dawn, and in the afternoons, staying out until after dark. And through it all, he did his best to remember to pray and listen.